Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Joseph Clough, and this is episode 351, or if you are a Mind Mastery family member, this is episode 458. And if you are a Mind Mastery member, go ahead and check out the previous podcast because we've got some crazy cool create your day systems out for you right now. And this one is mainly about how to unconsciously receive what you want throughout the day. So go ahead and check that out if you're a Mind Mastery member. If you're not, that's okay. Go ahead and just listen to this episode. I'm sure it's going to help you very, very profoundly. That is if you want to be able to achieve certain goals in your life anyway. Now, I don't know what kind of goals that you have. This podcast attracts a variety amount of people. From entrepreneurs to people who just want to let go of anxiety, who want to lose weight, or just want a better life, that emotional freedom, that connection with something greater than themselves. And one thing that I've really got focused on in my life is goals and how to really hit them that builds confidence as you go. I don't know about you. I mean, I used to have these, I still do, right? But I used to have these grand goals, these amazing dreams. And of course, when you have something which is so grand and so big, you're going to get fear of not achieving it. It's going to be overwhelming. It's going to feel like it's going to be hard to get there. It's going to be a struggle. And if you're like most people, you will then self-sabotage that goal or dream. It just won't happen. You will not be able to create that goal and dream if you're coming from a place of fear. It is crazy hard because you'll then just play small and stay in that most uncomfortable comfort zone. So I want you to be aware, with every great big goal, with every big dream that you have, the chances are you will be absolutely unconsciously self-sabotaging yourself. And it only happens for the best of intentions, which is safety. It's a protective mechanism. All self-sabotage is trying to stop you do something, right? You're stopping yourself, achieve something, do something, have something, become something. And it's really based around protection. Because it feels, and by it I mean your wonderful unconscious mind feels that it's going to be hard. You might fail. I mean, do you ever have that feeling or that belief of the fear of failure? The fear of success, the fear of not being good enough or worthy to attain such dreams. Or what are people going to say about your dreams? So you keep them quiet, you keep them small, and in the end, you just put them to one side. And then days, weeks, and years go by, and you're still feeling not only that uncomfortable place, but the annoyance of remaining static, of not really feeling fulfilled in your life. It's crazy hard, right? You're between a rock and a hard place. You really want this big dream and goal, but the nature of having that big dream and goal is actually stopping you go for that big dream or goal. Now, something that I learned crazy early on in my life, and I would probably put this down when I was like 18 years old when I was getting into this. You see, people on the one hand may have thought I wanted just to be a hypnotherapist. I may have told my friends I'm becoming a hypnotherapist. I love what I do. I've worked on my own issues out. I want to share how other people can experience that emotional freedom. But deep down, my awakening to the potentiality of my mind, and therefore everyone else's mind, made me think bigger. Now at this point, bear in mind, this was like 16 years ago. Podcasts did not exist. Apps did not exist. So I had to do things differently. And it actually made it harder. Now, I know there's a lot of noise in the world when it comes to online stuff. Like that, everyone seems to have a podcast these days, or becoming like a hypnotist when they've just started out and pretending that they're like crazy good and all this experience and been on TV when really they're doing it in their part-time living. Now, that's not to say that's a problem other than if they are lying. But there is a lot of noise out there, but there was a lot of noise back then as well, and you had to do things differently. It was far more on the physical side. It was more in like the CDs, the downloads, or just off websites. But I had this deep vision of where I wanted to go. Now, because podcasts didn't exist, it didn't mean that I couldn't dream making changes in the world. Now, maybe there was a little part of me thinking maybe I wouldn't be able to do that. But I managed to be able to remove the majority of my fear and self-sabotage. Because if I were to be so kept down by that, am I good enough to be able to change the world or make an impact in the world, help many people, help millions, or whatever that goal is for you? It could be as simple as losing weight. And I say simple, it can be still tricky sometimes, right? But you know what I mean. All these different contexts of a type of goals that you want. You want that promotion, which starts to pay out $200,000 per year. Or you're that entrepreneur who wants to be able to turn over $50,000 this month alone. Whatever it is, it's the same strategy. You see, the self-sabotage is still there. The fear is still there. The scarcity is there. The fear of failure, the fear of success, the fear of not being enough or good enough or worthy enough is still there regardless of the context of the goal or the dream. So it could be about losing weight, but it's still there. It could be about turning over millions of dollars, but it's still there. It could be about getting the partner of your dreams, but it's still there. So it doesn't matter what context. And more often than not, every example I explain or share or story is directly relatable to everything else that you may be going through. You just got to see how it does apply. But it is always still there. And as I was thinking about my big dreams, I didn't know how. Because if you notice that as well, you may have this big dream and goal, and then how do I get there? Just stops you in your tracks. You see, people think the how, the strategy, is the hardest thing to be able to attain the goal, right? Because if you have got the grand goal of earning thousands of $1,000s per month, or getting that relationship, or losing that weight, but you have no strategy. Like the things that you do on your day-to-day basis, every single day to be successful. Now, if you're a Mind Mastery member, please go ahead and check out the coaching call that we did just 2 weeks ago about how to just get things done. Like, I'm a big action taker. I honestly feel like I am very efficient in doing hundreds of things really quickly and efficiently, and go ahead and check that one out. But if you're not, it's okay. I've got you covered still. I want to share some insight about this, but I'll give you more of a step-by-step system. But many of the times we do want to know the how. Like, I've had clients come to me in the past, as an example for you, and they say, Joseph, I've had this issue of not feeling good enough, and I can't get my business to the next level, and I really, really love what I do, but I just self-sabotage, or I don't feel motivated, and all these kind of things, and they don't know how they're going to make that change. Now, way I see things sometimes is, if I go to turn on a light bulb, I don't know how that's going to happen. Like, obviously, my hand goes there, my finger presses a switch, and then the light's on. But I don't know how the electricity works. I don't know how the light bulb works. I don't know how electricity really works, right? I don't know about you, but you probably expect the light bulb to go on when you press that switch, but you have no idea how it really works. Now, another example could be your car. You may get into your car every single day and drive, but you don't necessarily know how every working part of that car actually works. You might have the basics, of course, but you don't know the ins and outs. But guess what? You expect it to work. It's like you just know, more often than not anyway, I know light bulbs can go out, electricity and things like that in cars, but most of the time, you can have enough faith, enough belief, but regardless of not knowing, it will still happen. You see, usually when people come to me, when it comes to like my coaching program, where I create them the system that they need, they don't know how it's going to work. In fact, sometimes I don't even believe it's going to work because I've seen hundreds of business coaches, therapists, hypnotists, and all these things in the past, so they have more of a disbelief in the process. But it's okay. You don't have to know the how, the steps by steps, system and strategy in order for it to work. You might have so much doubt in the goal, doubt in yourself. And in the context of my coach or my clients, it's okay because that's up to me to do, right? I figure that out. I speak to your unconscious mind so it does it on autopilot. And if we put it in the context of your dream or goal, don't let the how paralyze you in self-sabotaging, procrastination, and the doubt and the fear. Have the big dream and vision. Have it. It's okay. But notice, what are the small things that you can do today? Now, of course, I can't go into the deep strategies, otherwise it would be an hour and a half at least as a podcast, and I want to respect your time when it comes to this. And if you want to level your game, just go to joesclough.com and you'll be able to find ways of how you can work with me. But one of the ideas that I want to come across as I was growing up, and I then became a hypnotist in the beginning, I focused on what I could do today, regardless of my mission and vision of where I'm heading. Like even today, this present day, Thursday, what was Thursday the 30th of November 2017, today, I know is going to be a great day. And yeah, I've figured out a lot of things out, but I'm just going to focus on the one or two things that if I achieve today will give me, number one, a sense of belief. Number two, a sense of achievement. And number three, removing enough of the stress by choosing the most important one or two things, which allows my mind to be open to do more. Think about this, right? If you go ahead and figure out the top things you need to do today in regards to your goal. I'm not talking about just your chores and things like that. When it comes to your mission, dream, and ambition and all those kind of things, right? What is it that you can do today? Your top 2 or 3 things that if you did today would move you closer. Now, once you achieve that, number one, you are reducing the headspace that you've been dwelling upon by not doing what you want to do. So if we could say, for example, I don't want to go really crazy into the math of it, or the maths of it, as we say in England. But if you go ahead and imagine there's 100% of you right now, or there's 100% of the things that you need to do today. Now, some of those things, maybe 30%, like really big percentages, even 50%. And then there's some of the other things, out of like, say, the 15 things you got to do today, maybe the top 5 things actually equate to 50% of the stress or the headspace, yet usually we go for the small ones. But that increases the fear, and that increases the doubt and the worry and like the cloud hanging over your head. So what you have to do is consider the top 3 things that you want to do, which are taking up the biggest percentage of your stress or your time in terms of your emotional time. If you were to release that, achieve it, succeed in it today, would just release that pressure. So number one, it's going to remove the stress, the headspace. I mean, sometimes I think as a brain as being like a mansion. Now, are you renting out your rooms in that mansion to the stresses, to the things that you have to do? How many rooms are being occupied by these doubts in your mind? They're, what's the word for it? When people stay in the house. I can't even remember what it is now. But, when they stay in the house and they're not meant to be there. And how many things in your life, in your mind, are being rented in your mansion? Are the people you want there, should they be there or should they go? The stresses of the things that you want to do, have to do, and got to do. Where is the balance there? What is the percentage of how you're actually walking through your life? So I always go, well, what are the top 3 things I could do today, which if I do today will remove a great amount of, I'm not going to say stress, but an amount of energy which was occupying those rooms. Because if I can remove one of those rooms, it means I have a clean space. I have something new to pop in there instead, like inspiration and an idea, or I can then begin to work on the next room and then the next room. So first of all, I'm getting a release of that occupying in my mind. Number 2, if I can achieve it today, it builds in confidence. Because if I did this and I achieved this, therefore I feel better. Or if we go back a step, it gives me a sense of achievement, which will then give me confidence. It will then give me more belief in the big vision or dream that I have. You see, I always say about imagine a load of hot tubs, right? You got 10 hot tubs. One at the far end of the room, the furthest away from you, is the hottest of the hottest hot tubs. Crazy hot. Now, if you were to just go straight into that hot tub, you would be jumping out. You'd be like, I can't handle that heat. I'm just not used to it. And it's uncomfortable. Now, if I begin to have these other hot tubs from the very hottest one, way on the other end of the room, coming backwards toward me, which are slowly getting cooler. So then the next hot tub I go into is only slightly above my body temperature right now. I get used to that, and then guess what? I go into the next one, getting closer to the hot tub, the hottest of the hot. And then I go into the next one, and then the next one. And what I'm doing is I'm training up my body to begin to get used to that temperature change. Does that make sense? Because if I begin to go from one to another, and each one is getting that slightly bit warmer, I'm adapting to my environment. Whereas if I just jumped right into the hottest of the hottest of the hottest hot tub, straight off the bat, I'd have jumped right out. But if I train up my mind and body to go into each one for 5-10 minutes apiece maybe, I'll be really there in the hot one, right at the end of the room, and I'll actually be okay in it because I have adapted, I have learned. Now let's go ahead and put this in the context of your goals. Let's say that big hot tub, the hottest of the hottest one, is actually your dream. If you try to go for your dream right now, you're going to go, that's too hot for me, I'm getting out of here. It's just too big. But if I begin to set up these small hot tubs or these small goals, see what I'm doing here? Make the small goals, which are just slowly increasing. I'm building belief. So rather building tolerance to the heat, I'm now building belief that actually, I'm fine in this hot tub. Let's go to the next one. I achieved that one. Let's go to the next one. Or in this example, I've achieved this goal for today. Let's take on the next one. And then the next one. And before you know it, you are growing as a person. You have to break things down. Yes, have the goal, the dream of what you want. But break things down in terms of what can I do today that will allow me to be happy. I really know that the reason why people do not achieve what they want in their life is the inability to make good, articulate, clean decisions as to what they have to do today. People will procrastinate of all the hows of what they have to do to get the big dream, but it trips them up. And the inability to make good decisions, the inability to make good investments of your time and your money. Think about it. Most people in the world, and if it is you, I hope this wakes you up. Most people in the world are more happy to invest in the next Android or iPhone rather than their own computer in their brain. That's just the truth of it. Most people are more willing to invest in the immediate satisfaction, the instant gratification of a temporary state of mind. I'll say it again. Most people will go for that instant gratification of that temporary change of mind. Not the long term. Not the deep happiness that you've been really craving. Not the deep success of financial success, the emotional success that you've been craving, but the immediate but temporary change of emotional state. So it could be the physical things, it could be alcohol, it could be smoking, it could be eating, it could be going onto Facebook, it could be watching Netflix, it could be all those things, right? The instant gratification which temporarily changes your state, but guess what? It's a vicious loop because you fall right back into that, oh my goodness, I didn't get it done. Oh my goodness, I really messed up today. I should have really been doing what I was meant to be doing. I should have saved that money because now I really want to actually work with someone who's going to just get me the results. But I've been spending it elsewhere, or my time elsewhere, my mind elsewhere, and my head's been out the game. So important. Because on the one hand, if I take my example of my life, there are many, many hypnotists, hypnotherapists, coaches out there. So I had to do things differently. If I need to get out there, I had to come up with my own strategy of being successful, learning from great people, investing well over $125,000 at least in my personal development, my own development to save my clients not having to spend that amount of money. Of course, it was for my own value as well, because I wanted to be happy and really prolific in what I do. But to honestly, it allows me to save the time of anyone spending that amount of money, even to stop spending $15,000 over the course of the next 15 years. You see, people don't even think about that sometimes. Right? If I were to think about how much I've spent on my own development, because I just value myself, that I want to do that, right? I know it's not for everyone. People would put that into cars, they'll put it into houses and all those kind of things. But that was just my personal choice. But if you think maybe, although we may be spending money on our development, how much money have we spent? Has it been $20 over the last X amount of years on your development? If it is, seriously, we've got to up that. We've got to up that game, right? But maybe over the last 10, 15 years, you spent $10,000, $15,000. Maybe we spend thousands of dollars on forms of self-medication, like whether it be smoking, whether it be drinking, whether it be changing your emotional state, let alone the other things that you do. So be and have a priority and an awakening that, look, there are certain things I have to do in my life to be able to achieve what I want. Now I know from what Joseph is saying that yes, I should be having the big dream and goal, but focus on the 1 to 3 things that I have to do today which will give me the most freedom, success, belief, and achievement which will build me to the next one. And then you will become more aligned. You really will. You'll become more aligned in who you are and where you're heading. But more often than not, we self-sabotage ourselves. We go straight into the hottest of the hottest of the hottest hot tub, and then you were like so scolded by it that you're like, I'm not going there again. But it's not the way it works. You have to do things differently. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results is a form of insanity. I think Einstein said that. You have to do things differently. You got to make crazy cool decisions which will elevate your mind and body, which will elevate your family life, your relationship, your health, your career, your business, your money. You have to do things differently, and absolutely differently from what maybe we have been doing in the past. That is if we're unhappy with our present situation. If everything is great, You can still take this advice and just get better. But if things aren't working, if you're stuck, and you feel that dread, like I once did, or the doubt or the self-sabotage, you can start to apply that. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I just want you to know that you're worthy. But I see so much in you, and I have that big belief in you. And sometimes it's hard to hear, but it is what you are, potentiality. And I know how we can get you to where you want to be. It may take a bit of time, far shorter than you expect. It will take maybe financial investment, because that is exchange, right? There's the emphasis that we put in, we get out. But it is possible. You can go alone and still do this. Absolutely, in every way. If you dedicate your time, your energy to the places where it needs to go, you will transform, my friend. You've got this. So I'll speak to you soon. Many thanks and goodbye.